What is up, homies? Welcome back to another episode of the CzechXicans podcast here on Heroes Reforged.
I'm about to stone cold Steve Austin these beers.
That's the crisp sound of the new year and the great spring.
Oh, man.
I almost just choked.
We're not sponsored by beer.
No, we're not sponsored by beer, but we sure like to drink it.
This episode of CzechXicans is brought to you by beer.
Cheers, my friends.
Cheers.
We did this real backwards.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and that's the show. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Have a good night.
Bye.
See you next
Drink
month. Bye.
responsibly. Thank you.
Before we get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about, first we should say thank you to everybody in the audience because thanks to you guys helped crush that Manscaped deal that we did a couple months ago. So our friends at Manscaped reached back out to us.
Yup.
And they said, would you be interested in doing more of those for us? Because they did well and we like you guys. So we're like, yeah, interesting. What can you tell us?
Yep.
So from now until July, we'll be doing 2 episodes of this podcast every month. That's going to be a lot of fun. And that's thanks to our friends at Manscaped.
2 on YouTube.
Yes.
2 on YouTube. Yes.
So you probably have noticed we've been doing more ad reads for the last few weeks, and that's been super helpful to help us make more videos, to pay editors to help us cut down a lot of that stuff. It's been a huge weight off of my shoulders, so now I have to stay up till 5 in the morning editing that stuff, or staying up the whole next day doing that. So so thank you guys so much. It's been super, super helpful. Patreon's doing really well. We just finished X-Men. We're about to finish X-Men the animated series.
We just finished
Arcane, which was such an amazing watch. Like, I loved watching that show with you guys. It was so good. And, we're doing episode 4 of Moon Knight this week. And there'll be 2 more episodes until the finale. And then there's like a little baby break until the end of May when we start Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then Miss Marvel and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to overlap in June. So we still got a lot of stuff on the way. And then at some point soon, we're going to be starting X-Men the Animated Series season 2.
Yes.
Nice.
All that to say, I hope, ladies, if you bought Manscaped for your mans,
thank you.
I
hope it's working out well.
And all the men's who bought it for themselves, I hope you have the freshest nuts ever.
You made the wisest choice.
Yes, you made the wisest choice.
That stuff is great, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Also, let's segue into something nice.
Yeah.
We got a really nice gift the other day.
We got 2.
Well, 2 really nice gifts.
Yeah.
First one, it's our buddy Justin Doodle from Patreon. We don't actually know we know his real name, but I don't know if he wants us to say because he doesn't have social media. He doesn't have stuff.
Yeah.
But his Justin Doodle gave us that amazing sign. He has a store on Etsy. That sign is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's like laser engraved, like
Yeah.
laser
So cool.
carved. It's so cool. And the other really cool sign that we got, if you notice behind Adam, that is a hand painted sign from a bunch of very special kids from a very special foundation. So the Chris community is connecting the newest young Americans of Columbus with guidance and mentors. So basically what it is, it's a place where young refugees go to learn English and to basically have a little bit of a taste of what life is like here in the USA. Apparently they watch our show.
That's awesome.
And apparently they like that we're all multicultural, which is amazing. I'm glad if you guys are watching. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. Thanks,
we
guys.
really appreciate your amazing art that you made us. There's Mando on it. There's Miles Morales, Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's got a Czech flag and a Mexican flag on it. Absolutely incredible. And then they sent us some scarves. They sent Hector a cookbook.
Yeah, thank you.
Hector, if you don't make us something on the show,
I absolutely will.
Really?
I haven't gotten the book yet. It's been a minute since we've recorded something, and so I came over and
After using any excuse to get out cooking something for
I'm
us.
going home with the book tonight.
This episode,
I'll do
Hector,
it.
you better be in the kitchen. You're not even going to be on this episode. You got to be in the kitchen
should
making
sleep
it
right now?
Yes, exactly.
Come back like Lucky Charms,
Thank
fresh,
you.
ready to go.
But yeah, we got an amazing email from Jeremy, who is the associate director of the community partnerships at Chris, and reached out and we sometimes say words that are not the most family friendly on our podcast.
We're just talking about
reactions
balls.
and reviews, and we talk about nuts and.
That should be family friendly though.
So thank you guys for watching.
Hygienic.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a really nice email, and very much like what you were saying. Like these kids are looking for a way to learn more about our culture and just about our country and all sorts of stuff, and the language especially. So it was cool that that we help them in some way with
absolutely.
that, especially because, I
Thank
think
you.
the stuff that we talk about, superhero stuff, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, it is for everyone, and it's internationally known, and it's a worldwide, it's celebrated worldwide. So I think like that I think is the thing that is like the unifying piece of that. So, and it's cool that they're able to then use that for other things outside of just the superhero part.
I mean, I know that. So I grew up in a Spanish-speaking household.
Yeah.
I did not really learn English from my friends. My parents say that I learned it from TV.
Absolutely.
And so like,
absolutely,
it was TV, and then my mom was adamant about me reading so much. So you remember those scholastic book fairs where you had to read a certain amount of books?
Yeah.
And then you get like a little prize at the end. I was always winning those things.
Really?
Right? So it was
I hid those.
TV. You hid them? So you didn't like reading. No wonder you can't read.
I only bought the movie books.
No wonder you can't
It's like
read.
Batman and Robin, the novelization. That's what I bought.
Mine was Calvin and Hobbes. That was my obsession as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And it was I didn't realize how advanced reading it was. Now that I try to reread them as an adult, I'm like, this kid is like he's talking like an adult.
Yeah.
That was the loophole for the Scholastic Book Fair, though, is that they also counted comics.
They did.
Like Garfield collections, Calvin and Hobbes,
Yes,
whatever. So I remember being like, oh, snap. All right, here you go.
I got all this. I can read forever.
Yeah.
Right?
That's hilarious.
But yeah, that's how I started getting into all this stuff. And
Cool.
I wish YouTube was around in those days to like have people to relate to.
Maybe I'm glad it wasn't, because maybe then it would have been real bad. But
That's
hey,
true.
we
Who knows?
so appreciate being a bright spot on YouTube. And
yeah.
as far as we know, we're not pushing any conspiracy theories.
Right,
If we are,
exactly.
please tell us to stop.
Yeah.
But
Call us out.
Thank you guys, everybody at the Chris Foundation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Gracias por todo. We so appreciate it, and we love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
We did a trailer reaction to Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Some people were posting on Twitter. They were posting how there was the one shot you were talking about of the snow creature, that snow god.
Yeah.
And how it was a straight rip from the Jason Aaron comic book.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that we're at that point now.
Awesome.
And we talked about it too in the reaction. We're talking about how like, we're kind of at that point where like everyone knows what Marvel is, and now it's a perfect opportunity to like if you're going to pay homage to the comic books, sure, like just rip them straight out of the comic books.
Yeah.
But I did also see people talking about, well, I hope Jason Aaron and the team behind that comic book is getting compensated for that.
Yeah, it's especially because even just from like a visual level, because yes, the writing that Jason Aaron did is probably going to inspire some stuff in the movie. With Gore, the God Butcher, the villain that Christian Bale is playing,
who we didn't see in the teaser, but
so on and so forth. Yes, even like Jane Foster being Thor, all of that stuff is from that writer's work, but specifically that panel, dude.
Yeah.
That is artist Asad Ribic.
Yeah.
And
straight 1-to-1.
Straight
Side
1-to-1.
by side,
And
they
I'm
look
like,
identical.
and I'm like, here's the thing. You know what's good PR is if that artist got paid and the artist is on Twitter being like, go see the movie.
Yeah.
And the artist is at the premiere.
They did me
and
a
the
solid.
artist had a cameo in the movie.
Or at least like was on set, like directing things, or like whatever an artist can do in that capacity.
Yeah.
I hope they use them more often, because we were artists at one point and we got severely overlooked.
Yeah.
And it feels good to see that guy at least getting some props, but you could always get more props.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always get more props.
And again, it's a sad truth of like the differences between those industries. But I bet you that if that comic book artist was hired to be a background actor for one day on that movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, he'd probably get paid more than the entirety of doing the art for seriously.
Right,
exactly.
So
for
like,
all the art he's done, right?
So Hollywood, Disney, Marvel Studios, hook them up.
Yeah.
Put them in these movies, give them these cameos. Then you can parade them out on the red carpet.
Yes,
and there's nothing better than when the artist who did the thing is stoked to be there.
Right?
What's it like having so much from your comic book run inspiring this new movie?
And the first thing they think of, oh, they paid me a bunch of money.
Right,
the second thing they think of is, it's great. I can't wait for everybody to go see them do that shit. Because
and also do what Batman did. Have the comic books in the theater, right? Like put comic books up there so people can buy them and get more interested.
Yeah.
And have an encyclopedic knowledge of comic books like Hector does.
Is that entire Jason Aaron run in like one compendium?
It's in a couple, because it was like
so massive.
I think the complete thing of like Thor, male Thor, I should say, before it transitions to Jane Foster, female Thor, is like across a couple different books. But Marvel in physical form, they have done a pretty good job with getting runs like that are really well known and really well liked. Even like the Hawkeye run that we were talking about during the Hawkeye show.
Right.
That's all in one.
Matt Fraction.
Yeah, that Matt Fraction, David Aha book is all in one paperback. So like they do tend to do a pretty good job of that. And if it's really, really long running, they'll do it in like the Ultimate Collection, Volume 1, Volume 2, to kind of collect it across a whole thing. So it's out there, but also I've just been telling people the easiest thing to do is just Marvel Unlimited.
Right.
It's like just do that service, do a free trial if you can. Try it out.
Or the free version, if you're in LA, Hoopla Digital.
Yep, Hoopla Digital.
If you have a library card.
Straight up.
Yeah.
If you
all
have,
free.
Yeah, if you have access to a public library, go.
Yeah, they have a massive comic book collection.
Probably have that stuff there. And if they don't, you can order, you can ask them, like, can you get this, and this? And then they'll order it.
And then they'll send
That's pretty nice.
Or they'll have it digitally or anything you need for free.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
No excuse to not read comics, people. Please.
No, but I agree. And I hope that as we move forward, I honestly don't know how much that type of stuff was done from like phase 1, phase 2 of the MCU. I honestly didn't pay attention to it.
Well,
Unfortunately.
I feel like phase 1 and phase 2, and we kind of talked about this in the reaction.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a balance. Well, not even a balance. They had to push more towards audiences that weren't very familiar with these properties.
Yeah.
Because the Avengers were already the B-level team. Like they weren't the X-Men.
Right.
The X-Men were reigning supreme at that point. And so, they had to push these characters kind of delicately into this space and when Robert Downey, spoiler report, when Robert Downey Jr. dies, when Iron Man dies in Endgame.
You've had so much time to watch those movies now.
Like that moment felt good and it felt earned and it felt like the end of an era, and people cried and cheered and everything.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they were pushed so delicately at first, and then by the end of it, Iron Man could do whatever he wanted. You didn't care where his spacesuit, where his suit came from, right?
Yeah.
It was nanoparticles in his blood, and you didn't care.
Whatever it was.
Whatever it was. And so now we're absolutely in a different phase. And this can kind of go and segue into the other thing that we're kind of talking about too as well.
Yeah, I see you doing that. I see you doing that.
So we're kind of in a different phase in which like Marvel has free reign, do whatever they want. The color palette, the directors, the storylines that they pull from, the artists and everything. Whereas other companies didn't necessarily put in that time, or it wasn't as well received as this series was. And so like it's I think when you bring up the point that you did, Adam, you really have to talk about the context of like where it came from.
Yeah.
Because that's just as important as like the freedom that we have now.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a great summary of what you just said, Augustine. This is from one of the screenwriters from the first Thor movie, Zach Stentz.
Yeah, Zach Stentz is great.
Zach Stentz is great. Great Twitter follow. Like really, really great stuff.
He was writing Booster Gold. Sadly, who knows if we'll ever see it.
No.
Zach tweeted, "A big way I know Marvel has loosened up creatively since phase 1 is that we proposed Thor riding to battle in his goat chariot pulled by Tangrisnir and Joshter back in 2009.
Yeah,
right.
For a movie that was going to come out in 2011.
Yeah. Too soon.
And Feige and company looked at us like we were nuts. Now there they are in the Love and Thunder trailer.
Exactly.
And I think that I'm going to give them too much credit, and I'll say that it's a combination of they knew what the audience was then, so they knew they couldn't push that stuff. But I think also to Zach's point, they're loosening up creatively.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of it's like fiscally smart to do it the way they've been doing it, and now it's like, well, I don't think you're wrong at all, because I think we were at a really interesting point when in the early 2000s with superhero movies, you had your Daredevils, your Elektras, your Fantastic Fours, and they tried to kind of break that line of reality to varying levels of success,
but also keep it grounded in reality.
Yeah. But then you have the Nolan Batman trilogy come out, and that was the thing that people were like, this is what I want all my superhero movies to be.
Exactly.
And so it kind of put everybody into a box, even though like nobody was expecting that. But I think what Marvel did so well was Iron Man, Iron Man 2 were so, and the Incredible Hulk, they felt like more realistic and more grounded. But then with Captain America, they let Joe Johnston kind of go a little bit more fantastic.
Yes.
And then Thor, kind of the same thing. And I think you needed that in order for Avengers to work. Because if everything felt like Iron Man, then Avengers, I think maybe conceptually could have broken. And I think once you do Avengers and the villains are literally aliens, then at that point, the audience has kind of bought into the concept of like, okay, I'm on board. This feels still realistic and grounded.
Right.
So then by phase 2, they can be even looser. By phase 3, like we're all in on Thanos, like an alien being from
It's
another
silly goat
universe.
time.
Yeah.
We're not saying silly goose time. It's silly goat time.
goat time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in 2009, that concept, if I was Kevin Feige, he'd be like, it's way too out there for audiences.
For sure.
They're going to laugh it off.
For sure.
But at this point, 14 years later, we're like, we want the weird stuff. Give us the weird stuff. The weirder, the better.
The thing is that it's not even weird. It's comic accurate.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Like, this has been in the pantheon of comics for forever.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, okay, just let it happen.
Yeah.
Which ultimately was what we wanted to begin with.
Yeah.
You know? But that kind of goes off into that segue of.
But even before the segue,
okay,
you were just talking about before we started recording how a lot of people talk about like the humor and how they're like so anti the humor and stuff.
We're going there. Let's go there.
Well, my whole take on it is like, if you just can't let yourself to have fun with these characters, and like not every character, whether it's Marvel, DC, Star Wars, has to be serious. And I think you have to be willing and open to enjoy every single type of tone.
It's a Beauty and the Beast tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Where dudes our age continue to complain that the shit that is for children is still for children.
Right.
Like they're mad at that. And I've seen people say, well, here's what I don't like about Marvel is that they're too reliant on humor and jokes. And here's the characters that are too funny. Iron Man, Spider-Man, Star-Lord. And I'm like, let me stop you right there. You're describing Marvel comics.
Yeah.
I think the thing that keeps getting lost is that people keep forgetting they are adaptations of Marvel. Say it with me. Comics.
Comic books.
That's what they are. And it's like, go read Marvel comic books. Can you read them as adults? Yes. Can you enjoy them as adults? Yes. Are there comic books that are made just for adults? Yes.
Of course.
A lot of those are very good.
Yeah.
But also what's very good is when a comic book has great art and great writing and it's firing on all cylinders. And you know what? It's for children. And if you're the type of person that can't appreciate that because it's for children, if you can't watch The Incredibles and be moved by it, if you can't watch Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, if you can't watch The Iron Giant, if you can't even watch a great written sketch on Sesame Street and appreciate the acting, the timing, the writing, the puppetry, the craft, then I don't want to waste my time with you. I feel like that's a thing where it's like, I can't explain that to a full-grown person, usually full-grown man. I don't know what to do there.
No, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
I like superheroes, but here's the superheroes I like, the ones that are serious, Daredevil and Punisher and Batman. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But why are you mad that Thor isn't that?
Right.
Thor isn't Punisher.
Right.
Spider-Man isn't Batman. My God, there's so much variety.
Yeah.
That it's not about just what we're talking about. Phase 1, Marvel maybe felt a little too samey. And here we are being like, yay, there's different things. And there are people going like, well, I don't like the humor part of it.
Yeah.
And I want to say like, good. Fine. That's not like that Donald Glover gift from his stand-up. He's like, good. Like it's not for you. Like
we're leaving y'all in the dust. We're gonna keep going on this train.
When on Disney Plus, when Miss Marvel comes out, there's going to be grown-ass men complaining about it and being like, this is dumb. And I'm going to be like, do you think this is for you? Shut up and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's like a 15-year-old high school kid.
Why don't you just watch Obi-Wan Kenobi? That's for you.
Let us open-minded adults enjoy this, please. Thank you.
Or like, it's just, it's especially to take a big, accessible franchise like this. I want there to be different flavors in a Star Wars. I want there to be different flavors even in Lord of the Rings with the upcoming Amazon show. And that can mean a bunch of different things. Tone. It could mean, the demographics of like the actors actually doing it, the creatives, all of that differences. The diversity leads to quality, leads to strength, diversity of stories. So it's just been such a wild. I just a few days ago finally caught up. There was a video on YouTube from Patrick Willems, who's great video essayist. He did a great video about why are Batman movies, and to an extent some Batman fans, afraid of Robin?
Yeah.
And that video talks about what I'm talking about, where I forget where he was mentioning, like talking about Robin or something, and that he was seeing all these comments responding to it, and somebody said, no, Robin is the thing that ruins the Batman franchise.
Because he calls him out on his bullshit.
And then they said Robin is the Jar Jar Binks of Batman.
Oh my God.
And
oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
and I'm
y'all
like,
are crazy.
Wow.
I'm like, you're broken. That's a fandom thing.
Dude,
that's
that's
broken
insane.
to take. And even now, I've even really come around on Jar Jar Binks, by the way, as a
me
character,
too.
like the Clone Wars show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm like, even that comment is like that insult.
Yeah.
Is to me, I'm like, are you on a message board in 1999? Like, that's gross.
Yeah.
Are you still in America Online?
Don't
Going
do
through
that
chat
shit.
rooms?
Yeah.
Why are you using Jar Jar Binks as an insult?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like saying to somebody like, that's like being sexist and being like, you drive like a woman or some
Yeah,
stupid,
right.
outdated. I'm like, don't even do that. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. But the fact that somebody said Robin is the Jar, I'm like,
That's crazy.
Robin, Dick Grayson
Is fucking amazing.
predates Joker.
Yeah. Well, Robin was
Only
introduced in the comic books a year
a year
after.
into it. And
Yeah.
Batman's been in comics for 80 plus
Yeah.
years. So I'm like, that's
What do you-
99% of
Yeah.
like
99%
so
of Batman
frustrating.
comic books have
But-
Robin.
But what we're describing,
Right.
I think it's not just a fan who said that's
Yeah,
fault. Because why do they think that way? Because let's be real. Because the movies that have been the big, like very visible and visual
media.
mainstream versions of Batman haven't had Robin.
Right.
And they've had a
Yeah.
tone where it's like, oh, it would
Not in
never
30 years at least.
it would never work in this world.
Right.
And they've had
Mhm.
directors and actors and producers who've been like, no, we're not doing that. And
Yeah.
it's this idea of like treating a character like Batman, for example,
Right.
as being so sort of like mature and
Untouchable.
untouchable
Yeah.
and just for adults. And I'm like, it does lead into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen,
we cannot avoid the subject.
listen, Chris Nolan, phenomenal director,
Yeah.
one of the best working today. You may have done more damage than good in terms of the in terms of the depiction of Batman. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
it's interesting how when those movies were coming out, 2005 to 2012, that it was like, man, especially in 2008, The Dark Knight is awesome.
Yeah.
That movie is awesome.
Yeah.
But then looking back and you go, huh, in a lot of ways, Warner Brothers is back where they were in 2005
Yeah.
because they just put out The Batman with
Yeah.
Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
And here's another movie that, as stylistic as it is, I could see it going either way. Now, you come in here because I think you love The Batman probably more than any of us.
Of all of us, you love it the most.
You love it
Yeah.
the most.
Right.
Adam, I would love to get your take on that.
Yeah.
Do you think that the base reality that they established in that movie could support a Robin? Or do you think that it's something that they'll continue to avoid just because it kind of doesn't fit with that reality?
Realistically speaking, I think
Yeah.
if they did Robin, I don't think it would happen in the first trilogy.
Right.
No.
Whoa, you're
Yeah.
talking they're going to make 6 of these? They're going to make
If
5?
they ended up making
whoa.
more, because I think and also it really depends, is there a time jump in the sequel? And
Right.
how much is that time
That's-
jump?
yeah.
Because year 2
Ah.
of being Batman, I feel like that character has so much still to learn about what it takes to be not even a mentor, just like what it takes to just be Batman. Like
Yeah.
he still hasn't figured all that out.
Yeah.
So I think if the next movie was like year 3 and you throw in a Robin, I'm like, I don't feel like this. I think that he could learn a lot from Dick Grayson,
Yeah.
and I think he can learn a lot about himself.
Yeah.
But I feel like it might be a little bit too much.
Too soon.
Too soon.
What if?
Like I thought Batfleck would have been because he was a
Yeah.
20-year veteran, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
But
the guy you
what's
give a Robin.
Interesting. Just hold that thought for 1 sec. What's really interesting
Write
about
it down if you don't forget it.
the Batfleck, we'll put a pin in it. We'll
Yeah.
come back to that. But the Batfleck idea is that, like, again, going in what we're talking about, the creative force behind that, the writers and the director,
Yeah.
Zack Snyder, they were like, well, we're going to take a character who's traditionally thought of as being very innocent.
Mhm.
And in our world, he's already dead.
Right.
To further drive home the point, like, how
Yeah.
many people stay good, Alfred? How many, and
Right.
again, a lot of fans eat that up. They're
Yeah.
like, that's the coolest shit ever
Mhm.
to live in a
And I
world
was like,
that is
no!
to live in a world that is post Robin,
Right.
because you get a little of that feeling you get
Mhm.
when you read Frank Miller Batman: The Dark
Right.
Knight Returns,
Yeah.
and that's a bleak Batman, and
Yeah.
and in that bleakness you bring out the hope, and in
Right.
that bleakness, and it's funny too because in that Patrick Willems video he's talking about how fans would cite Dark Knight Returns, and it's like he gets a new Robin in that.
Right.
That's
There's a lady
There's
Robin.
a lady
too.
Robin.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of that comic book.
Yeah.
Is that he gets a new Robin,
Yeah.
Carrie Kelly, and she's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and she's got a little slingshot.
Yeah,
and shit.
exactly.
Like,
It's literally
You know,
on the cover of the comic book.
She's the
So
cutest
anyway,
little Robin. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
it's interesting that's kind of what Robin has turned into, and I feel
Yeah.
like Robin's just a great summary of like some superhero movies, and especially DC in a way,
Yeah.
because first time we got Robin in a movie was Batman Forever,
Mhm.
technically.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the next time after that iteration of Batman, Chris O'Donnell, I think the next time we saw Robin in a movie, Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Yeah.
And they spoofed the fact
Right.
that Robin never got a movie.
Yeah.
And in that movie, they're like, coming next summer, Alfred, the movie. And you're like, shit, man.
Where's Robin?
Alfred did get a TV show.
He did.
You know?
Pennyworth.
And Titans got a show with Dick Grayson. I guess.
That show is ahead of its time. That show is absolutely ahead of its
Teen
time.
Titans Go.
It's so wild,
It's so
man.
funny.
Yeah.
What was your thought?
So, yes, normally I would agree with you about not having a Robin until like the second trilogy or whatever, right? Given how tight of a story Arcane was, how efficiently that story was told, we had essentially a movie do the first half, and then the second movie jumped in at a massive time jump.
Yeah.
If we were to be able to tell a second story, like I don't know if it would fit in the second movie of a trilogy.
Yeah.
Or having the third one be a huge time jump. But I didn't even expect an Arcane in the second one either. So who knows? It might work. But like, I feel like a Robin could work if you have the right writers. Like, I did not expect anything from Arcane. And this just is based off of Arcane because I'm still blown away by the amazing writing and the storytelling. I think it's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
I just think it goes back to...
Guys, before we continue on with the podcast, we have to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. Did you know that one man every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer?
Scary.
And Manscaped wanted us and everybody else to be just more aware about what that means and what you should be doing.
Yeah.
So we want to take a second and talk about this, talk about men's health issues and why they're important to us. And as the resident old guy,
I recently had to go get my testicles checked.
Yeah.
I actually had a little bit of a scare. I had a little bit of a pain. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to go get this checked out, and it cleared. Clear as a bell. But it's important to go to the doctor when you feel stuff like that. You got you can't just say, "Oh, it'll go away." Oh, it'll go. What if it doesn't go away?
Yeah.
What if you can stop it before it even gets to that point?
Exactly.
Go get your balls checked, bro.
Absolutely.
And ladies, if your husband's whatever, if he's telling you something, tell him to go get his balls checked.
Absolutely.
If the urge to release is giving him a hurting, go get a check-in.
Squeeze those little grapes. Listen, if you have followed our channel for a while, you know that we are big fans of Manscaped, and especially the Lawnmower 4.0, which is a fantastic product. We have all used it.
Yes.
In addition to providing the right tools and solutions for safe and easy manscaping, Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Together, TCS, Testicular Cancer Society, and Manscaped are committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men ages 15 to 35. Let me repeat those ages again. 15 to 35. That's the most common form of cancer, is testicular cancer in men those ages. So they are helping, they are giving support for fighters, for survivors, and for families that have been impacted by testicular cancer. So get yourself checked out. You don't have to wait until that discount at IHOP. You don't have to wait until that senior citizen
to the early bird special.
You can start doing it now and be safe, and talk to your bros about it, and we should all be able to talk about that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And the best thing about Manscaped products is that you can test yourself or do self-examinations while you're using the products.
Yeah.
Like I do with my personal favorite, the ball deodorizer, which is great. And right now, for a limited time, you can get their brand new special edition TCS Lawn Mower 4.0. It's an electric waterproof trimmer. It's a special edition, and it's a collectible item. There are only 10,000 in existence, and Manscaped will be donating $50,000 to their longtime partner, the Testicular Cancer Society, to help those that are impacted by testicular cancer.
Whoa.
So make sure you grab yours before they run out, because once they're gone, they are gone. You ain't gonna get one. And I hear they're fantastic.
You can put them on display right next to your Funko Pops.
Yes,
right there.
Exactly.
Collector's
I'm
items.
gonna, if I get one,
We should put
I'm
it right
gonna put
there.
it
Boom.
somewhere.
Oh, we should put all three of them. We should put all three of them, baby. All three of those babies. If you guys want to purchase the brand new special edition TCS Lawnmower 4.0 to support the cause, or for more info on how you can help perform simple routine self-checks at home, go to manscaped.com/TCS. If you want to help support their mission to shave balls to save balls, learn more by visiting manscaped.com/TCS or donate at testicularcancersociety.org. As always, you can use the promo code Heroes Reforged for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Join the Manscaped movement, and don't forget to take care of your pair.
having the right people behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Which goes to the topic that we were going to circle around to begin with.
We jerked around it long enough.
Which is the whole restructuring of WB Pictures and
DC
and everything.
Yeah. So this is the big news. It's been about a week.
Yeah.
But, but the conversations about this thing have been happening for a long time. Discovery is now going to be taking on the ownership of Warner Brothers. That includes Warner Brothers Pictures, DC Entertainment, all the subsidiaries, HBO Max, like all that kind of stuff. And so they've started having light conversations about like, what are they going to do moving forward? You know, because Discovery has its own streaming platform. Warner Brothers has its own streaming platform. They've talked about like, do we consolidate? There's actually been like I guess positive so far. No employees have been announced to be like laid off or anything.
Oh, that's good.
Because they sent out some memo, and they said, give us time. We're trying to figure it out. The interview was basically like, if we need more engineers and Warner Brothers already has them, why would we fire people and then hire new people? Let's just put them together.
Oh, I see.
So there's a lot of those conversations of like not necessarily consolidating, but merging stuff together.
It's usually scary when a corporate email goes out that says, give us time. To me, that usually means like,
we got to figure out where we're going to throw you.
Yeah, we got to figure out when we're going to announce these layoffs.
Exactly. So we'll see. And like we talked about the corporate mergers quite a bit, especially with the Fox Disney thing. We talked about it a lot, and it's unfortunate when all those things do occur because it is inevitable that things will consolidate. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But they have talked about how they want to, in some ways, restructure or sort of like rework DC Entertainment.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is like, the thing that surprised me the most that was like in the article on Variety was like, Superman is something that they really want to focus on, kind of prioritize and figure out what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
As a Superman fan, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, who are the people that are going to be behind it?
Exactly. We need the right. Whoever is doing Superman and Lois, just jump on. Just take over.
The Berlantes,
just take
the
over.
Berlantiverse.
Take over, bro.
Yeah, I saw people talk about that too.
Yeah.
To take the Greg Berlanti position and kind of promote him, elevate him or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about that too, because I feel like that's kind of a different, it's just like,
no, you're right. You're right. It is very different. And I think, honestly, I don't watch any of the Berlantiverse.
Yeah.
Except for Superman and Lois.
Sure.
Because I feel like it's the greatest example.
We've seen episodes of Flash.
We've seen everything. It's not all of it is my cup of tea.
Right.
And that's no diss on anybody in that production company at all.
Right.
But I feel like there's a shining example of what those shows could be, and it's Superman and Lois.
Yes.
And I feel like they showed that a Superman that is that tone can work.
Right.
And it can be elevated. That's not the best Superman we've ever seen. That is still to come. They just have to get the right people to be there. And those right people are us.
Yeah. You know what else is key is that when you look at those TV shows, they feel like they have writers and producers who are like pretty aware of DC Comics.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they feel like they know what to keep building on what came before.
Yeah.
Meaning they have the Arrow show, then they have a Flash show, which would not have been my first two shows that I would have greenlit, but whatever. Those are the shows we got. I normally feel like it's Green Lantern and Flash, not Green Arrow and Flash, but all of a sudden they became buddy-buddy.
Right.
And then in their first season of The Flash, I think they did the crossover episode.
Yeah.
Arrow had a cameo.
That was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And then the year after that, they keep sort of one-upping
elevating
the crossovers, right? That's the word of the day is elevating. And they keep taking, and then they at one point they did a crossover. They're like, here's the one where they cross over with the Earth that's still ruled by Nazis.
Earth X,
Earth X. And then the one after that, or maybe 2 years after that, was finally Crisis on Infinite Earths. They full on did it with as many characters as they could, even though they didn't have within that universe a Batman, a Superman, a blah, 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 blah. They still worked with what they got, and they still...
Well, they had Tyler Hoechlin.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he was in it, right? He was.
And Brandon Routh.
I guess they didn't have a Batman, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because the Kevin Conroy version was like a multiverse version.
That's right. But the point is even when they don't have something, they found a way to like, okay, but we're going to bring in Kevin Conroy to do live action Bruce Wayne,
so
Batman.
Good.
So I think that approach of like, it at least feels like they're looking at, like, for example, if you look at the Flash show, each season has kind of a different big bad.
Yeah.
And it feels like it kind of makes sense to like, yeah, that would be the season 1 villain. And then here's the season 2. That makes sense. And they're bringing in Earth 2 in season 2. And then here's season 3. And when you look at it like that, the kind of bigger picture, it all kind of feels like it is going in the right, or it feels like it is people who are kind of studying the comics and knowing what the
Cherry
sort
picking.
of order of operations is in the comics, and then trying to do as much of that as possible.
Yeah.
That's, I think, something that we can say is missing from their DC superhero movies and from the DCEU. But I don't want to just say like, make a movie just to make a movie and then just to get from, from point A to point B. Like,
so I think there's a balance between that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
And I feel like Marvel either got extremely lucky or whatever circumstances led them to be where they are is that, right?
Yeah.
I think DC and Warner Brothers are in a completely different place where they don't want to play catch up or go by another person's mold, which is probably what I would think as well.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? I don't necessarily have to follow anybody's mold in order to do what I want to do. The only issue is that it's all based on comic book lore that kind of has to follow that format.
Right.
Right. So it's going to look like you're copying somebody to begin with.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's nothing stopping somebody from just going for it and showing why their characters are different, how their world are absolutely different, how these characters have to be absolutely strong in their personality and like visual language on screen in order to communicate that they are different. I don't know if there's confusion or if there's like clashing ideas in Warner Brothers where like anything we do is going to look like Marvel because it's all superheroes kind of look alike, right?
Yeah.
But the track record shows that like Batman can continuously perform. Like Batman can continue and do as well as any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And so like whatever attention or care that you're giving to Batman, spread the love, baby.
Yes.
Spread the love. Give it to Booster.
Yeah.
Give it to Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Give us another Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Give us a good Superman, like a Superman that is like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman.
Superman that won't make me cry when I walk out of anger.
Superman that I see him save a cat from a tree, save a kid from falling off a building who is, who wants to unalive himself.
Yes.
And then like just be the all-around person who we should all strive to be.
Yep, that's it.
And that's the blueprint is there. We just need the people who want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tricky thing for me is that like, who are we going to find?
Question for you. Should Warner Brothers Discovery, the worst. That's the worst.
Warner Discovery.
Also that Variety article, what's the first thing that they say right here? Watch, scroll up. Like at the end of the first paragraph, they say a thing here that it makes me want to puke. It's so weird. This right here.
David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies and top leadership, have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical.
Stop. That's what the fuck is that? I hate that.
A content vertical?
I hate. See, that's CEOs.
What is that?
They're talking about synergy. They're talking about all of those sort of buzzwords of like being a CEO and making these big moves, but it just sucks all the creativity right out of the. Do you see what I'm saying?
Content vertical.
When they're like, if we could somehow make Superman its
content synergistic vertical.
I'm like, that makes me want to go, quit your job. Stop. I have no faith that any of this will be good.
Exactly. And this is going to make you feel real good. One insider suggested that Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more eager to hire someone who had the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions of DC working more harmoniously.
30-second TO. 30-second TO.
Time out.
Here's the thing.
Last TO for the Lakers. Let's go.
Here's the thing. It's funny because DC Comics has always been a business and it is technically run by business people. That's part of the thing. But if you're trying to bring in outside to the world of comic books, specifically DC Comics, outsiders coming in and they're like, well, I had success as a CEO of this Fortune 500, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna like, you're going to fail. Because you need to find people who give a shit about Hawkman.
Yeah.
Not somebody who's like, oh,
that's my ex-CEO of Nature Valley granola bars.
That's my job. That's my job.
Have you ever eaten one of those motherfuckers? They crumble the moment you bite into them.
And your movie's about to crumble like your cookies.
Exactly.
Nature Valley had a profit margin of over 20 points in every fourth quarter for the holiday season.
Have you eaten our dusty-ass bars?
And that's why I'm the perfect person to creatively be in charge of Plastic Man. No. Not at all. God, I don't know.
Get your dusty balls and bars out of here.
I don't know who wrote up this Variety article, but my number one thing would be like Warner Brothers Discovery. Please, who did it?
Brent Lang and Matt Donnelly.
Brett and Matt. If you guys are, hearing the dictation from the sources, my note is not to Brett and Matt, but it is to Warner Brothers Discovery. It's PR.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Right.
What are you
put
doing?
together a PR firm that puts things like this out that says, you know what we're really, really excited about? A Teen Titans movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't give me the vertical content, Fortune 500.
Synergistic vertical
barf, dude.
Barf stuff.
Barf.
That to me is always going to be a really big, because again,
who is this article for? But is it like for investors? Is that
what
what it
that's
is?
what I was about to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was about
Keep
to say.
that shit behind closed doors.
I don't need to read
Have an
that.
investors call about that.
Yeah.
And again, I think that all of this just showcases how smart somebody like Kevin Feige is and how well he trained Marvel Parliament to answer these types of questions. It's not, well, yeah, we're thinking about this content vertical for the Guardians of the Galaxy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we're really excited to introduce the world to the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're going to understand who Peter Quill is and Star-Lord and what it meant to be abducted into the infinite universe and blah, 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 blah. But this is like, we want to look at DC as a content vertical. I'm like, what does that tell me about the characters?
Nothing. But again, if this article isn't for us, part of the PR is like, then why is this the only thing we're hearing?
Yeah, why is this all of it?
This shouldn't be out. This shouldn't be on Variety.
Yeah.
It's like folks over at Marvel, even though the reality is they film in Atlanta because of tax breaks.
Right.
I've never heard Kevin Feige, Tori Alonso, Nate Moore, any of the producers talk about Atlanta and Georgia having tax breaks.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Never have I heard them say that. And I worry that somebody at Warner Brothers Discovery is going to be like, good news, everybody. We're going to film everything in Vancouver because of tax breaks.
Yeah.
And the
Aren't you excited?
And the internet's going to be like, who cares? When are we getting a Birds of Prey sequel?
Our newest content vertical.
Yes.
Atlanta. Guess what?
The news you've been waiting for. You're bringing back Henry Cavill? No, we found a place to film for the
Fortress of
tax
Solitude in Alaska.
0.500 less APR.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
We switched to Geico, baby. No, but it's so true. And like, yeah, it's so true though. It's so freaking true. And it's so upsetting because yes, I would much rather be excited. I mean, okay, I will say there are little bits of this article that did make me a little bit more excited.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, but you're not really giving us anything. Like it literally says in this article, Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films as Aquaman and the Batman, it lacks a coherent character such as Superman, who have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips' Joker are a shining example of how second-build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'm into that.
It also says Discovery has a credit score of 770.
You should be looking for DC investors immediately.
But not great.
Here's a question I have. Here's a question I have for both of you. This is the question I wanted to ask.
Oh my God.
Should Warner Brothers Discovery in this plan abandon the DC extended universe or lean into it, but then just try to redirect, course correct, and fix things within that franchise?
Brother, it's already been abandoned.
Dude, I don't know, man.
It's already been abandoned.
I guess I should ask this question again after The Flash.
Yeah, I was about to
exactly.
say, I feel like that is such a hard question to answer when we don't know what the Flash movie is going to do for this universe. Because there's a part of me that wants to say, like, I think there is still a way that you can kind of work within the boundaries of it. But I think the sacrifice you make is like, you just don't have Batman and Superman. And like that to me is an incomplete DC universe.
And I don't
if you don't have Batman and Superman, then like, fuck off.
And I don't think you can have it live in a bubble in which Ezra Miller is such a problematic actor at this point.
Sure.
Dude's going in and out of jail. Dude is harassing people on the streets. Like, you want your star, one of your tentpole
that's
Justice
League
League members.
An awkward junket.
I don't think they're even going to have one, honestly. What are they going to ask him?
The focus on Michael Keaton.
Here's what they're going to do. They're going to bring out Michael Keaton. They're going to bring out the actress who plays Supergirl.
Yeah.
They're going to bring out
Andy Muschietti, his
the
producing
director,
partner Barbara,
and they might reveal and pull out another cameo.
Yeah.
If there's another, like if Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in it as Black Adam, or Shazam is in it, or whatever, then they might be like, oh, put that in a trailer, put them on the press tour. Because I don't know what they're gonna do with.
I mean, so that's the thing. Even that's putting lipstick on a pig, dude.
Yeah.
This series, this potentially tentpole Flashpoint is such an important point in the DC universe and everything that happens in DC. And your main character is not a great person. Your main character is in jail. Your main character is catching cases left and right. That's not good PR for anybody, and you can't escape it. Even if you have all the best actors in those junkets.
It's a thing about how that version of Barry Allen, I feel like, I don't know if they've earned that spot. in a way. So for
Flash
example,
Gordon.
allegedly, by the way.
for example, yeah,
Yeah.
for legal purposes.
For legal
For
purposes.
example, Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Holland at the center of that.
Right,
I feel like
right.
Tom had earned his third Spider-Man movie,
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
plus
he-
Avengers,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
appearances and all
Right.
that stuff. And then you get to some big multiversal shenanigans with some great cameos of other Spider-Mans. And it really felt like it was not one pulling the weight of the other two. It was
Right.
like,
Team.
team, all
Team,
three of them there.
exactly.
How wonderful,
Right.
how great. And this Flash has Barry Allen, maybe like multiple Barry Allens,
Yeah.
but
Right.
also Michael Keaton Batman and maybe Ben Affleck Batman. Ben Affleck Batman's
For
in
sure.
it, for sure.
Yeah. And Supergirl.
It's all just too early to say because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen a trailer. We haven't
Right,
seen the
right.
movie. Who knows? Maybe they'll be able to like pull it off, but it still goes back to like, is it too early to do Flashpoint, the storyline in the Flash movie, where here's the other movies that have or haven't happened in the DC extended universe? If they keep it, how should it be fixed and addressed, if at
Yeah.
all? And if they don't keep it, what should they do in its place?
I mean, to answer
If they keep
not
it,
even
how do
the,
they
not even
fix
the
it?
first question, the pre-first question, yeah, I think it's way too early for Flashpoint.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
like
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think like you're it's not even a Flash origin story because we technically already saw him in Justice League, but like it's so weird to go out the gate with a Flash. The very first cinematic Flash film
Solo,
right,
yeah.
is Flashpoint. I'm like,
Yeah.
that happened so far later in the comic books.
Right. Without establishing a proper Flash that we know and love.
Yeah.
And for that context too, technically Flashpoint is the last story in the DC universe.
I mean,
Yeah.
technically,
and
yes.
then it reboots into an entirely new
Yeah.
thing. So like
You just answered your own question, Hector. You just answered your
I
own
don't
question.
know.
Should they keep
But-
it or should they keep
Well,
on
that's
with
the thing,
Flashpoint?
too, is like-
they're going to do both.
Well, that's the thing too, because like
Maybe.
Michael Keaton is in this movie, and then Michael
Yeah.
Keaton will show up this year in Batgirl,
which
which is going to show up
I-
in first before the Flash movie, and I'm like,
which
how
I
are you explaining
which
this?
I think I hate that.
Yeah.
I think I hate it as almost as much as I hate Michael Keaton showing up in Morbius, which you guys didn't see.
Nope.
You guys got to avoid that
I've
little.
read and listened to all the reviews, so there's nothing that's going to
No.
catch me by surprise with
but
anything.
that is like, wow, you guys are really cramming him in there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure filmed the movie not knowing what universe this was in
Right.
because you know that's
Well,
not a priority.
he shot primary stuff, and then
Of course,
they
of course,
redid
of
all
course,
of it.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Yeah.
They redid it because
Yeah.
a studio over here is establishing the rules of this world,
Yeah.
and this studio has to like catch up.
Yeah,
And now that's why I'm going. Then don't even bother
yeah,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah.
have to like wait until their movie comes out, they're not even communicating
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
What are
Anyway.
you doing?
Yeah. I know.
Warner
I
Brothers
think,
Discovery.
I think Morbius is going to be a wake up call because at the end of the day, money talks.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Venom made a shit ton of money.
right.
Venom
I think- I
2,
don't-
not
yeah.
so much.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I don't
they
know.
might
Yeah.
not.
I think it still made good money.
Right.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think it made as much
But
as the first
all
one.
the hype
Curious,
and
yeah.
I think
that up.
the drop off for Morbius weekend 2
Oh my god!
was
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
really the only way you're going to get them to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if people paid for Carnage 2, they wanted to see a Carnage 2,
Yeah.
right? If they
Right,
were
right.
excited, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know if this is the first time within the Sony Spider-Verse where it's such a massive drop off because I
Yeah.
don't know the numbers of the Amazing Spider-Man or Spider-Man
Sure,
3 or
sure,
anything
sure.
like
Right.
that.
By the way, Spider-Man 3 I think was the highest grossing
Yeah,
Spider-Man movie, maybe still to this day.
Wow.
maybe.
Spider-Man 3 in 2007.
Well, not more than No Way Home.
Oh, really?
No Way Home
Home
was
I
like one of the
doubt that.
biggest movies
Yeah.
ever.
Tight. All right.
Well, but Venom Let There Be Carnage made $502 million. So that's
Okay.
still quite a
I
bit.
mean, that's
Yeah.
still
Venom,
quite a bit.
It's I think it's like 200 million less than Venom the first one.
So that was
Wow.
coming off the heat of Venom 1 though.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that like this is a new character.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they were hoping that
Yeah.
Morbius would be the Venom 1
$146 million since it's opened worldwide.
worldwide.
That's
Wow.
brutal.
But what was its
Worldwide.
budget? What was its
The
budget?
budget, I'll
Yeah,
tell
does
you.
it say?
Morbius is gonna hit them in their pocketbooks. And they
Yes.
have to
Then the plans will change. Do you think that's going to
Reassess.
change? Do you think that'll make them reassess Kraven the Hunter at all?
I think it's gonna make them examine why they're in the movie industry to begin
Yeah.
with. Like
So okay, so
it just needs to they really need to find a guru.
yeah,
And I think every movie company needs to find a guru
Yeah.
of whatever you're doing. Like
yeah,
if it's Guillermo del Toro or if it's like somebody who
Yeah.
like is very passionate about something. This goes kind of back to your discussion about
Yeah.
the synergistic content vertical,
Yeah.
that doesn't match with
Yeah.
the love and the passion and the storytelling and the creative heart that people have.
Yeah.
Like when you have somebody like Guillermo or some like Gendy or just somebody who really loves stuff with a passion,
Yeah.
it's gonna come across in the storytelling. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna come
Yeah.
across in the content.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always vibe with rich
Yeah.
dudes' pocketbooks. And it'll never vibe with rich dudes' pocketbooks.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the rich dude is paying and he's gonna look at the content and he goes, I don't like this. I need a silly side character that makes
Right.
the demographic from 5 to 13 laugh.
Yeah.
Just like that doesn't vibe with what creative people do.
There was actually a really good tweet from a couple of writers. I forget exactly who the writers were, but they wrote some script and it went really, really well. Oh, it was some Viking script. And they were talking about, because it was in relation to the Northmen. It was a Viking script that they wrote. They got it to Disney. Disney was all in on it. They were super interested in it, in the pitch. They sold the pitch. They went off to write the script. First script read through, it was like everything was going really well, really well. They were like, great, we're going to get our movie made. The first read through, the executive was like, they had one script change, and that one script change derailed the whole thing.
Mickey Mouse needed to show up
Wow.
in armor.
And they brought in new writers. The new writers, the rewrite
Sure.
with the new writers didn't vibe with what the concept was. Bada, bada, bada. Long story short, the project fell apart.
Right.
And it's like, it literally takes one thing for your whole project to fall apart.
I also want to say too, like, I have no idea. I'd like to think I understand. I have no idea how difficult it is to make a movie.
Yeah.
I feel so bad when people spend years of their lives.
You kind of know what it takes to make
a little bit.
Matt
But
Reeves
I
spent 5 years making the Batman.
5 years,
Yeah.
and the thing comes out and people can watch it in one sitting, 2 hours,
Right.
and that's
Yeah,
the art.
right.
And I feel bad when it's not great and people are like, yeah, that movie wasn't great. Like when, there's so many, you just mentioned one little tiny thing
Yeah.
and so many different dominoes can fall and it can either work or not work. Marvel Studios honestly has had a combination of knowing their material, but also just getting lucky.
Yeah.
Putting out these movies in the right place at the right time. Not until Eternals did they have a rotten movie on the Rotten Tomato meter or whatever.
Yeah.
And out of the gate with the DC Extended Universe, Man of Steel was rotten.
Yeah.
Like it was not, they were in a really, really,
Is Man of Steel rotten?
yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
You double check. What is
I
it?
think-
Like 50,
I-
56%, something like that? 62%?
I think Man of Steel is like
What
right
is
on
it?
the
What's
border.
on Rotten Tomatoes?
Let's check.
I'm going to say
Hit
62%.
us with some weight music, Hector.
Okay. You got it.
Oh, it's 56. Yeah.
50, that's rotten.
Oh, wow.
Sorry,
That's a
man.
good sound. You found a
Didn't
good
make
sound.
60.
Damn.
It's weird, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like I could see that being that, but I could also anyway. The
I thought
point
it was
is,
in like the 70s.
that's what
In your
happens.
heart, it's in
Yeah.
the 70s.
The point is I'm not even thinking about Warner Brothers Discovery merging with the Warner Brothers studio and people who know how to make movies.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, y'all know how to make movies. I'm not challenging that.
Yeah.
What only thing
Right.
I'm talking about is I'm like, I don't know if they know DC Comics, because also DC Comics is kind of tough to know.
Yeah.
It's tough to
Yeah.
wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
They moved DC Comics from New York,
Yeah.
which had been there since it was established, to Burbank, just so they could be closer in the, similar enough so that they could take meetings and try to, figure out these characters
Yeah.
and stuff, this valuable IP. I'm about to pitch myself to some Warner Brothers Discovery executives, not as a writer, not as a producer, but I will put together a PowerPoint presentation that just explains Green Lantern.
Dude, I literally went into our Discord when this was announced and I was
Yeah.
like, so when are we taking over?
It's just like
Yep.
I would happily via Zoom talk to, if anybody's watching right now, hit me up. Seriously, slide into my DMs to explain to you the who cares importance of Plastic Man. I'll do that stuff. It's not easy, and I will compare Marvel and DC comic book universes. I think Marvel is much more easy to understand. And that's because DC has a lot of convoluted, crunchy continuity and canon. They've rebooted themselves multiple times. They have a lot of out there concepts that I think are more out there than Marvel.
Yeah.
So many of these things, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. Please don't be in the comments and be like, what about this? What about Marvel this? What about Marvel this?
Right.
Yes, you're right. Sure. That example is
What about
correct. But
Marvel in all of the 90s.
yeah. But when I say something like, here are the Avengers, here's the X-Men, here's the Fantastic Four, here's Daredevil, here's Spider-Man, here's Hulk. We can all pretty easily wrap our heads around those concepts. But if I say, here is the Doom Patrol, it's already like, that's trickier than X-Men. X-Men is an easier elevator pitch.
Yeah.
If I go, here is the Teen Titans, that's more involved than what's like the young.
Because you have to like give them context of like where did those Teen Titans come from?
They don't
Exactly.
just get together randomly.
Mutation.
In the 80s, the Teen Titans and the X-Men were the comics that were kind of selling against one another. And again, X-Men as a concept is, I think, a little bit easier to, as opposed to like, okay, so Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and Batman all had kid sidekicks.
Yeah.
And already it's like, you want to go there? Is that where? And it evolves into
Where
this
do we
and this.
establish those?
Cyborg, Starfire, you know, it becomes that. When I say Green Lantern and the color spectrum,
Right.
Oh God.
it's already okay.
Like,
So
wait, does that include black and white?
so death is a color? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I go
Right.
Flash. Okay. Fastest man alive. Got it. And the Speed Force. I'm sorry. What is
The
that?
what? The who?
Uh-huh.
The what?
The
What
all-encompassing
villain is that?
speed force.
Because over here, Quicksilver's just fast.
Yeah.
Yes, but Flash is faster because he can access the Speed Force. And I
Exactly.
go, what is a Speed Force? Okay,
Here we
so
go.
it's just so you know the multiverse over here in DC is very important in a lot of
Right.
ways, bigger than it is in Marvel.
Yes.
It's only that Marvel has just now gotten to
Mhm.
the Spider-Verse was a huge multiverse storyline that really blew that up, and then the animated movie made it more mainstream. And now you have What If, which they smartly have been leaning into and embracing. And Marvel Comics has always had What If, but over here at DC, it's like they were the first ones to establish like
Yeah.
Earth 1, Earth 2.
Yeah.
And Jay Garrick meeting Barry Allen, and then
yeah.
all the different, here's Earth S, which is where the Shazam family lives. And then Crisis was all of it together.
Yeah.
And already it's like, that's so much. I thought these people knew Batman.
Yeah.
I get Batman. Yes, you get Batman. But he also is friends with Martian Manhunter.
Mhm.
Oof.
John Jones.
Oof.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Mars had aliens?
A lot to get to. So, and not even counting the fact that like, well, then there's the New 52 reboot, which
Yeah.
is still kind of in continuity, but then they sort of merged with everything that came before.
Right.
And DC Comics like goes hard, and they make comic books for comic book readers.
Mhm.
And so does Marvel, but for the past 20 years, since like 2000, they've also made comics for like
General audiences.
general audiences. Like they've made comics that feel cinematic. They've
Yeah.
made comics that I think are wacky and fun, but they still feel like they're almost movie pitches.
Yeah.
Where they go, okay, we're kind of restructuring Captain Marvel, and this is what Carol Danvers is all about. Got it.
Right.
Got it. We got to clean up her kind of confusing backstory a little bit. And then
Streamline.
she's half Kree. Okay, great. Got it.
And it also goes backwards. X-Men the animated series influenced Marvel Comics after the series was over,
yeah.
and they created comics after
That's
that were
true.
based off the animated series.
Yeah, but it was its own thing.
But it was his
wasn't-
own thing,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
like it's I feel like it, and it sucks to say that DC has to catch up.
Yeah.
Because they really don't, because
Yeah.
they are like
They're the originators in a lot of ways.
They're definitely the originators, and they are making, like you said, Hector, comics for comic book readers.
Mhm.
Whether that translates well into a cinema series, I think it just takes the right person to translate that over.
I think you're right.
And
I think you're
finding
right.
a director who is passionate about it, but also having, it doesn't even have to be a Kevin Feige, because we know Kevin Feige doesn't do everything on his own.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a tight circle of people.
Marvel Parliament.
Just call him. What's a big Illuminati like group in DC?
Oh,
is
that's
there,
a good question.
Is there a big? There isn't, like, I guess
Some
it's just
sort
a
of-
Justice League.
Yeah.
I guess it's just,
yeah.
it could be just a Justice League of comic book creators that include us three and whoever else
Trying to get
wants
that
to
job.
jump. Whoever wants to jump in on our dope
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah.
It just requires that kind of dedication, but it also requires some leeway from the producers and investors and everything like that. That like,
Mhm.
hey, trust us.
Mhm.
We know what these characters need. We kind of talk about it every single week for how many years have we been doing it?
My God.
8 years.
87 years.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, man. I think the question is just a little too big to kind of wrap our heads around at this
Yeah.
point. Because it could go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
And
Because I feel like your question is kind of tough to answer about, like, do you reboot the universe?
right.
Yeah.
Because
It's
then,
tough,
like, what are the DCEU properties that are established and are still like working out pretty well? Aquaman is doing well.
Right.
Wonder Woman, even though 1984 was like not as good as the first one,
Yeah.
I still think that there's a lot of room for it to grow.
So Aquaman,
Shazam.
Wonder Woman, Shazam
Yeah.
are good.
yeah,
Peacemaker just had a show. We're going to go
Great.
back to that well of the
Mhm.
Suicide Squad
Yeah.
with another show.
yeah,
So Suicide Squad, good,
yeah,
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like in a good spot. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Great.
It's another highlight of that
Yeah.
whole
Yep.
franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know when her next movie's going to be.
Right.
Does she have a movie lined up as Harley Quinn?
I don't know. Yeah.
I think
Are
so.
we getting a Birds of Prey sequel?
Right.
Are we getting a Harley Quinn movie?
Let's get a Jesse Smollett movie.
Get a Jesse Smollett.
We're I think they talked about giving her a series. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
happening for sure, but
Journey Smollett.
Journey
Just like
Smollett.
Journey
Journey
Smollett.
Smollett.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Let's get Journey Smollett a show
Yeah.
or movie. There's a bunch of stuff that's up in the air. There's a bunch of plates spinning. And then
Yeah.
not to mention, technically within that world, Batman is established.
right.
But
Two of them.
there's one.
Matt Reeves' Batman is going to be absorbed. No.
I mean,
No. No.
I don't.
No.
I don't think
I
so.
think,
I don't
I think
know.
Matt Reeves will walk if that happens.
I don't know.
I think.
What
it's,
if it does?
I think it's. I don't see it happening, but then
I don't
again, I didn't think that Michael Keaton was going to be Batman absorbed, and now he's happening.
I don't
Yeah.
want to burst your bubble, Adam, but it's gonna.
I'm
just kidding.
No, but
I just want to see you.
No, but
panic.
I think it is like a really interesting conversation because,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that if they tell Matt Reeves, we're integrating your Batman into a shared universe, he might say, no,
Peace,
Sure.
I'm
bitches.
out.
But then
Yeah.
somebody else will step in.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
he's
But
the
then, like-
director. He's not the star.
I know.
Right.
But then, like, if you're Robert Pattinson, what do you do?
Sure.
Right.
Do you also walk and you're like,
Yeah.
nah, I want to revoke I want to get out of my contract.
Yeah,
So that's the other tricky part of it too, is
Yeah.
that we've had some really great actors play this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People are tied, and as much
Colin
as
Farrell's about to do the Penguin.
right,
Like, there's
exactly.
so much going
like,
on.
People love Jason Momoa. People
So,
love Gal Gadot.
What about this? What about this though? Because the exact problem you're describing, here's maybe one solution. Look at what James Bond did in the 90s
Yeah.
when it was Pierce Brosnan who played M.
Judi Dench.
Judi Dench.
Yeah.
When they rebooted it and it was Daniel Craig who played M.
Dame Judi Dench.
Judi Dench, Dame Judi Dench. They brought her over.
Yeah.
Do you think that the sequel to The Batman could have Gal Gadot playing a new version of Wonder Woman, but it's the same actor? It's a new reality, but it's still her. And would that work? Or
Yeah.
do you think audiences would be like, yay? Or do you think nerds like us would be like, this doesn't make any sense? What is the,
No,
do you see what I'm saying?
That's very fair. But
Yeah.
then very fair.
Yeah.
But then my immediate question is like, well, then what are we doing with Michael Keaton?
right.
Now
Because
I'm
I think it opens a
because-
can of worms.
Yeah.
Because then if you cut to, for example, the Batgirl movie
Right.
with Michael Keaton Batman,
Yeah.
you could also
And J.K.
it's
Simmons, you're like, what?
it's supposed to be in that reality. You
Yeah.
could also have Gal Gadot step in that.
Right.
So I'm just saying of reusing actors that are already like successfully in the roles
Yeah.
is one option without clearly like saying Flashpoint has rebooted the reality.
Right.
You know, that they're just going to like, again, even J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson
Right.
in the old movies and in the new one.
ones.
Yeah.
He's different Jonas.
Mhm.
One has hair, one doesn't,
Yeah.
but it's the same actor. And I think all audiences were like, great. We
Cool.
don't care.
Yeah.
Not a problem
Yeah.
And I wonder
Exactly.
if part of that is because also we haven't seen him play that character
in a while.
in like 17 years.
But for it to be, it might be weird if it was like
like
Momoa just
Pattinson and
showed
Gal
up.
Gadot are like
Yeah.
are at the
Weird.
same time making movies, and we just had Jason Momoa and Peacemaker, and I don't know.
And it's also
It's-
weird. I just want to point
Maybe
this
we
out there
don't
too.
want to take
I
this
wanna
job.
vomit.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take the
I'll do
job.
it. I'll do it.
I'll
I'll reboot
seriously,
the whole fucking thing.
I'll seriously drop.
Okay, fine. I'll go.
I'll
I will
seriously
burn-
drop everything in my
Yeah.
life to go
Yeah.
do this job.
I
Are
will
you kidding
burn
me?
your entire roadmap and start on you.
I
There
was
you go.
going to
You just
say
answered.
You're
You just
gonna
answered
learn
it,
to
Adam.
love fucking whiteboards. Let me tell you.
It's also weird
Google
to.
Jamboards, baby.
That's right, baby.
It's also weird to
We
think
should do
about
that as a video.
to like visually think about Robert Pattinson, who's a great actor, but he
Yeah.
looks younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, to me, Batman always looks like he's one of the older, more veteran, more established
Yeah.
characters
Right.
on the Justice League. Like,
Right.
it's weird for me to think of Robert
Christian
Pattinson.
Bale was younger when he played Batman and Batman Begins.
But he
than
looks- but he
Pattinson,
feels
looked
older.
Yeah,
He
or
looks-
feels older. Yeah.
He just
He's
feels.
just got those daddy vibes,
Yeah.
dude.
yeah.
That's
And
what
Robert
Christian Bale
Pattinson-
brings.
He
Robert
still
right
looks
now-
24, 25.
Robert has
yeah.
those I'm in my 20s vibes.
yeah.
And like
he's never not going to look that way,
He's
though.
going
Yeah.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Final thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
If we get this job, and if
You mean when we get this job?
and Warner Brothers Discovery goes, no, we want to do a clean break.
yeah.
Don't worry about Matt Reeves, the Batman.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do a sequel and TV shows. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the DCEU. We're going to do an Aquaman 2, maybe a
Mhm.
3. We'll maybe do Shazam fights Black Adam.
That'll
And
fizzle out.
maybe fizzle out. Honestly, Wonder Woman 3, we're still going to do it with Gal Gadot, and
Yeah,
it'll
that's
fizzle
cool.
out.
1994.
1994,
yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
But then they come to us and they go, what is the plan for DC Universe on film? What
Yeah.
is it?
starts off with the bright, shining sun that he needs to be, Superman.
Okay.
Superman needs to come in with that Iron Man 1 heat.
You know how
Iron Man 1 still gives me goosebumps
Yeah. I
like
when
that.
he starts flying.
You know
I
how
like
I
it's
would do
there.
You know how I do a first Superman movie? Honestly, I would treat him like the Max Fleischer Superman.
Exactly.
I would limit his power set.
Yes.
And the more he uses the power, because you got to remember, when he is first Superman, that is the first time he fully uses that power set.
Right.
Throughout the rest of his like young adult life,
It's like working out.
he's kind of using it on the farm and little saves here and there. But like, it's not really till he becomes the fully fledged Superman that he's really using that power set.
Right.
So I would limit it. I like when he gets hit by big objects, push him back. Let him feel some I want to feel the resistance. I want that character to like build up. And at the same time, while he's building up his power set, he's building up his public trust. And I think that is so important for Superman to really win over the people.
Also learning the responsibility of what it takes to be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Like give him a point in the movie where he has to make a choice.
Yeah.
I could take this fool out, make my life easier, or I could leave him up to the system and let that do his job because I am not justice. I am here to help people.
Look, what's one of the greatest Superman moments ever in Justice League when he's fighting Darkseid?
Yeah.
And he talks about, I've always lived in a world that felt like cardboard.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is my one opportunity to let loose.
Yeah.
I want to feel that on the big screen, and I want to see that where he
Well,
finally has that moment.
You can't do that in the first movie.
No.
It's a build-up.
That's the
to
building
like
block.
3.
Yeah.
Three or a Justice League film where they're fighting a big villain. It's like, now I will really show you what
could be
power
the
I
Avengers Assemble moment.
Yeah.
That's Thor versus Thanos.
Yeah.
That's that kind of, fight at
and
the
I
end.
think like you do that and you really like people, you really like let people in the universe and outside of the universe are won over by Superman.
Won over.
You can do it.
Are there any other characters in the movie? Superhero characters. Just Superman.
Just Superman.
No.
1 through 3.
And I
just
wouldn't
Superman.
and
What, 3 movies? I gotta wait for 3 movies to get
you know
other.
what I would do? And I would not make it an origin story. Like I would kind of the Batman-ish, maybe not several years, but maybe like this being has been around 6 months, 3 to 6 months.
The first instance of him like feeling the power or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So like,
Superman's origin is we need
done
to
it so many times,
but we also you need to speed through his entire young adult life to cover the whole origin. So you're saying bring him in when he's in his 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
And it's like he's already been active. But
and I would say he's not even a reporter yet. Like maybe we could just like start before he's a reporter.
Now here's the thing: you're making it sound a lot like Man of Steel. It's sounding a lot like Man of Steel, Adam. Make me feel like it's different than Man of Steel.
The tone is very different.
Okay.
The tone has got to be very different because
different
if you think about what's his name? What's his dad's name?
Jonathan Kent.
Jonathan Kent.
If you think about Jonathan, the advice and a lot of what Superman is early on is based heavily off Jonathan and Martha.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know anything but them at this point.
Yeah.
And so getting those two characters be those people who you strive to be and having Superman absorb all of that and be that character, even though there are tough moments and not having the moment where like they had in Man of Steel where he's like, oh, but what if people die? And John kind of hints that it's okay to let people die or like maybe kill somebody or like not be that. You can't have that.
No,
you can't have any of that
has to
tone.
be very clear.
Right. And people might say that it's boring.
Right.
People might say, but at the end of the day, it's not even for Superman. It's for everybody else to really love this character. Like really at the end of the day, what it's saying is that I can trust you, Superman, because I know you don't have any bad intentions, even though you can kill humanity like Omni-Man did at a specific point where he jumps into that other dimension, right? Like he could shred everybody to pieces.
Yeah.
But you have to build that trust in that super godlike character.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. And that's going to be the hard thing to convince people to do. It's not impossible though. It can be done.
I mean, look at the moments in Superman and Lois that like pretty much moved us. Great costume.
It's
Thanks.
there.
My mom made it for me.
Right, exactly.
Like just those little things.
Where he faked carrying a heavy ice bucket.
Can you help me, Jordan?
Right? Yeah. It's just like, it's those little types of things that you don't think about that Superman has to be, Clark has to be very aware of and like make sure that people understand that he is trying his hardest to not destroy all of us at any single point.
The trajectory for me with that story is obviously Lois is a big part of it, but I would like to cinematically see them advance and like let's let them have kids.
Yeah,
Let's start building towards the future generation. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Who's the Superman villain in the first Superman film?
The first film?
Yeah.
I kind of want to go a little ballsy and maybe do Brainiac.
Absolutely. That's the move.
Absolutely.
Now,
and then have Brainiac come back for the Justice League movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
In fact, no, you have Brainiac and the Legion of Doom. Because
Oh,
Brainiac
yeah,
was
Brainiac
on the
and
Legion
Doom.
of
Right,
Doom.
exactly.
Really
Yes.
good. But Brainiac is a huge part of that.
Right.
But I would use this like rebooted version of Superman to then slowly bring in characters like Steel and Super. You know, like to slowly build towards those things.
I was gonna say, you know what's so funny is that like
Bizarro would be dope.
every white guy superhero character has that thing that Marvel has been doing for 10 years now, which is like they'll have a best friend black guy. They all have those characters.
Yes, that's true.
And you could start popular, because I was thinking as you guys are saying this stuff, I was like, this feels like it could be like the next Steve Rogers in film.
Right.
Chris Evans and everything you're describing. I'm like, I feel like a lot of the Steve Rogers that he did was that. Then you bring in Anthony Mackie, and I love his Falcon. I love his Sam Wilson so much. And I think even now to where he's earned the title of Cap, I'm so on board with it. Why not John Henry Irons in the first movie?
Right.
And in the second movie, he puts on a steel armor.
Yeah.
And in the third movie, maybe Superman's like, I think I'm gonna head out for a little while.
You got this, right?
You got Metropolis, right? And he's Steel.
Honestly,
He's Superman.
And honestly, eventually, like I would want to build up to the death of Superman.
Yes.
But you already have this like supporting cast of characters. So like
that's great.
when he dies, Steel is there.
Yes.
Maybe Superboy, you know,
It's
Eradicator,
I hate to say it,
Cyborg.
but it's got to be the Tony Stark moment. Like it's got to be. It's got to have that kind of impact. It's got to be.
And then I would like not have him in several films,
and then you bring him back.
The
Surprise.
resurrection. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing: the first movie you said is established as Superman.
Man of
is
Tomorrow.
the second one Batman? I'm not even interested in the title.
No.
I'm going to do something else. Is the second one Batman? Is the second one Wonder Woman? What is the second non-Superman DC movie?
If it was me, I would do pillar character, supporting character, pillar character, supporting character. It doesn't have to be in that order.
Okay.
But instead of doing like,
for example,
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, I would maybe do like,
I don't think anybody on the Justice League is a supporting character.
right.
I think they're all
That's true.
dope in
They're
their
all
own
established
way.
members.
When you
right?
say supporting, who do you mean?
Well, I would, okay, maybe not supporting, but I would do like, because everybody kind of assumes like it's the Trinity who's the first group of characters who are established. I would go differently. I would maybe do like Superman, and then maybe I would do like Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter. You know, someone that's like, maybe someone we've never done before. Like Martian Manhunter would be cool. Yes, it is another alien character.
Yeah.
But it's seeing the origin story of that Superman-ish, but from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
And seeing how he's been on Earth. Could you make that character someone who's been on Earth for multiple years and he's a detective?
Right. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Exactly.
And I also love the idea that like in past years, recent years, it feels like they've attached John Jones to like, you're a black man when he's a human, just to add diversity to the team and to add that perspective of like, him.
I think
that'd
one
be great.
thing that we're missing that was done very smartly in the past is bringing in a B squad that has no hype behind it. I'm talking Guardians. Nobody believed Guardians was going to go anywhere. What is that team for DC?
The Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
Because originally the Guardians of the Galaxy were in the year 3000, and it was those characters that were like Charlie 27 and Martin X and Starhawk and all these weird characters. And then the Guardians we know, it's like they took that idea and they're like, well, what if in the Marvel Universe they started that now, and that name just kind of carries on until then. So they brought in Star-Lord and Gamora, so on and so forth. I think that if you do Superman the movie, and if you have an actor who plays teenage Superman, port that actor over to a Legion of Superheroes movie or show on HBO Max, and it's like, hey, you started being active as Superman when you were about like 16, 17, 18 years old. Here's characters from the future who are going to come and hang out with you, and you're going to go into the future with them and see the year 3000 and see what kind of an impact you had as a superhero. And maybe it would be best if it was a 2-hour movie, because at the end of the movie, they're going to wipe your memory and they're going to put you back at home. But just to see like, okay, here is the entirety of the DC universe from all the way at the end. And when we cut to these characters like Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl and Chameleon Boy, and they start talking about, oh, the Justice League versus Darkseid was amazing.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Doom Patrol when they came in. Oh, and when when they start rattling stuff off.
Yeah.
And Hawkworld, when that happened, how did you guys? How did you do that? And then these other teenage characters, and it's good to go teenagers because it gets young people.
Right.
Constantly being like Gar, he doesn't know about that yet. He hasn't, and young Clark's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, one of your best friends is Batman, and it's like, Batman? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, and it's like, oh, the legend of Batman. Exactly. And they're telling him all this stuff, and all it's doing is priming the audience to be like, oh, I want to see that story. That's what we have to look forward to. And then you cut back to the present day movies, and you actually start seeing that.
I also think we're missing a piece of the pie, Adam. I want to know your thoughts on this. They're merging streaming services. We need HBO originals. What are you going to make for the HBO originals?
Yeah.
For this new established universe?
Because we're starting off movie continuity with Superman, but now Disney has shown us that these originals can carry as much weight. What are we doing for that?
And this is something that they've talked about that they're going to do, and I have no idea when the hell they're going to do it, and I haven't seen any news about it. The Green Lantern Corps.
Yep.
It is one of the most expansive superhero organizations in DC Comics, but don't even start on Earth. Like, you can literally go and do like other characters.
Yeah.
That's
the other thing. If the Legion of Superheroes is like the end of the DC universe or 1,000 years from now, Green Lantern can start with like
the ancient
5 billion years ago. And you're like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. And even if you do something that is like in a similar timeline as like the Superman thing, it doesn't matter. If it's on the other side of the universe, who cares?
Right. But eventually they'll crash together.
But these concepts of like, like the different colors and what do they mean? And like, you can use the HBO Max series to help kind of prep the audience for all that stuff.
Yeah.
So then, whether it's Jon Stewart, Jessica Cruz, Hal Jordan, whoever the hell.
No joke.
There is some like
I would copy
knowledge.
The Green Lantern animated series.
Yes, that first
first
and only season.
Yeah. Just that show.
It was great.
Made me fall in love with the Green Lantern.
And that's the
Corps.
thing that is so frustrating is like they've done it in animation. They've like built all these blocks, and now I'm like, yo, movie people. Here's one.
It's right there.
Here's 2.
It's
Here's
right
3.
there.
That's it.
Come on.
That's all you need.
It's right there.
Well, guys, I think we figured it out.
So we'll be waiting for a call.
I think we need to do one of those like Google things that you told us about.
The Jamboard.
The Jamboard. Yeah. We should just like do one and send it to people at DC that we know.
And
show them how it's done.
Okay. So DC, we're going to be waiting for a call. Our DMs are open.
I should say,
you know where to find us.
I should say Warner Brothers Discovery. We're waiting for
Warner
a call
Brothers Discovery.
This entire time we've been talking out of our ass. People who work at DC Comics are probably like, what do you think we've been trying to tell them for 10 years? That's exactly what we've been saying.
I feel bad for the people who have been pushing for it, because there's people who have been pushing for this stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure. But sometimes that doesn't always translate either.
Yeah.
And to go back to the point, I love the people who've worked on DC animation.
Yes.
I love the people who've worked on DC Comics.
Yeah.
But when we're seeing an article in Variety that's like, they're looking for Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige did not come from animation.
No.
He did not come from comics.
No.
He is a really unique individual who came from movie producing, working with the Donners.
Who happened to be a big nerd.
Happened to understand the material. Who happened to be the person when they were filming the first X-Men movie who said, hey, maybe Hugh Jackman should have a little bit more of the Wolverine hair.
Yep.
Because he understood that stupid shit like that mattered on some level.
Yeah.
And it's about finding a movie person who, when they sit and start studying DC Comics, they go, oh, I love this. Mm-hmm. Oh, this would make a great movie.
You can boil it down to the essence of what it is.
Not a movie person that looks at all this and goes, oh, I don't get this. I don't know. Who's our first person we have? A director? Come on in. What's your pitch? Sure, you can do it.
Yeah.
No, that's not doing the brand
Justice.
as a whole any good. It's great for that director. It's great for that one character they want to work on, but the director's going to keep coming in and they keep saying the same damn characters. I have a take on Batman. Okay.
Great.
Cool.
What is it?
15
Dark?
Multiverses of Batman.
What is it? Dark?
Is it dark? Is it? Let me guess.
Is it serious?
Is it serious?
Is it realistic?
He's gonna have black eyeshadow.
Or I have a take on Superman. What if it's this and really weird?
Yeah.
Sure, Tim Burton, do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not doing the whole. You got to have somebody who has.
That doesn't do your vertical any good.
Yeah,
exactly. You need to have somebody who goes, this is what make a good movie. This is what make a good movie. This is what make a good movie. We need to hire writers that can write this but good, and a director who can direct this but good. And it sucks because it's not looking at. Pointing at them, and it sucks because people watching this right now are going, well, that's limiting creatively. What about the creativity of the whole thing?
Make standalones. There are spin-offs.
Who's fighting for the DC universe?
We are.
Who's fighting for that creativity?
Exactly.
We are.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right. Good job, everybody.
You scared the shit out of me. Who are you looking at? Oh. DC
Go
on
team.
three. 1, 2, 3, DC.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you think.
Oh, that was a roller
Warner Brothers
coaster.
should do about the DC universe. The comments should say hire U3.
Yeah.
The comments should say.
Yeah.
We'll screenshot all of them, send them to Warner Brothers in a nice little package with our jam box.
Yeah.
Jam board.
Jam board.
Mhm.
Jesus. Jam box.
It's a cheese box and a jam board.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That sounds like a delightful holiday gift box
Oh,
idea.
it will be. And they will pay us a
We
lot of money for
also
our
need
ideas.
to make a content vertical shirt with like a little puke emoji under
God. Content
it.
vertical.
Content vertical.
There'll be a shirt available in our store very, very
Yeah,
soon.
that's great.
Let us know in the comments below. Check out all the other reactions that we've done. Check out our Patreon as well. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.